I'd like an Atari 2600 system, please, and everything that goes with it.
Everything? You sure you want everything?
I want everything.
Hello everyone, this is Sonic Guy 25, here to review another game system. I just picked this up recently. If you watched my games I bought recently, episode 3, it is a Atari 2600, and this system is one of my favorites. Too young to have one back in the day, but it's definitely an awesome system, and I'll show you. So here we have the system. This is the not the original system. This is the most common one. It's the 4 switch, and I'll get into it in a little bit. This was released, I think, in the early 80s, if I'm correct. I don't know if I am. There's also a 6 switch, one made by Sears, and some other variations as well. First off, you'll see the cartridge slot is right here. There's no cover for it, but that's not a big deal. It's pretty protected. It's nothing good with it. And then you have this nice textured layer here, and it feels solid. It's hollow, but it feels solid, like it's not gonna break on you. Here you have the switch for turning it on and off. Next to here you have the color in black and white, but it won't turn to black and white on any TV. It has to be a black and white TV to turn to black and white, which no one will have a problem with that, I don't think. Next here we have the game select. If you haven't played Atari games, each game comes with different variations. We'll show you. Well, these are my games I have with it right now, and let's just do an example. Berserk has, if you change that switch, there are 12 different variations, which are different styles of gameplay, which is a really cool feature. Some had one variation, some had 12 or 10, some had like more than 100, so it really ranges from which game. Like Donkey Kong, it has no variations. It really depends on who makes it and stuff like that. And yes, with cartridges, different companies, like these are the official Atari cartridge style, and this is the Coleco ones. So there are lots of weird shapes, kind of like, these are actually, some of these are licensed, but sort of like the Nintendo Entertainment System, with its lots of different shapes and colors with the unlicensed games. Here we have a game reset, which is what it does. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Now we have the back. Now, here are the controller port 1 and controller, well, 1 and 2. And they're on the back of the system, which doesn't cause too much problem. And next here we have difficulty switches right here, which change the difficulty, which is a very cool feature. And the only difference between the 6 switch and the 4 switch is that normally they'd be right here, the difficulty, or I think that's what it is. I'm not exactly sure because I've never owned a 6 switcher, but I've seen them. I just didn't pay attention. Here we have the you plug that in for AV cable, and here's the AV cable right here. It's small and compact, and it's really good. Not like the Xbox 60 one. And this cable is extremely long. Look at this. It's a jumbled mess if you don't have it right. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh. But it's thin, but doesn't feel like it's gonna ever break on you or anything. So next on the system itself, we have the AV cable, which is hardwired to the system, which is interesting, but doesn't cause much problem. Unless, of course, it's broken, then you can't really, unless you're a technical expert, you can't really fix it or anything. And here, on the end of it, just to notice, if you buy one, this is the cable for it. This thing does not plug into anything in modern TVs. So what you'll need is either this, a switch box right here. This is an old one, but it works. And you plug it into here. Then you switch it to, for some reason, it's not TV, it's computer. I guess for game. And then you plug this into your twisty AV area. And you can also, something easier than that is there's the twisty things. It's just a little tiny thing. It'll cost you a couple bucks. And you just plug that into there and twist it on. So, pretty simple. And this system had a huge following, very successful. Atari's first system, well, besides Pong, and their first real system and their most successful. Great system. It had so many good games, but the reason it fell in '83 was because too many horrible games were coming into, and the NES saved the day. Blah blah blah. Now I'll show you some accessories for it. First, well, only really, I just bought it so I don't have a lot of them, but I can tell you about them. We have the Atari controller. This is one of the simplest controllers out there. Red button, joystick. That's all you got. It's very good. It took me a while to get used to it. At first I was like, this isn't working, because it's kind of solid and doesn't move around much. But after you get used to it, it works fine. And there is one problem with it. One con would definitely be how short this cable is. Look. Stop. It's wicked short. As long as you're sitting in, close to your Atari, it won't make much of a problem. Here's the second controller. So yeah, that's the Atari controller. There are also paddle controllers that go like this for like, say, Breakout, Warlords, which are required for some games, and they're required. There's also a trackball somewhere. There are a lot of weird things. I think there's a not a dance pad, but some sort of pad for it. There's driving ones which are really close to the paddle ones, but they spin like without stopping. There are a lot of other weird ones like a keyboard, and there's a lot of accessories that you can find. They're not too rare, I don't think. There could be a few that are pretty rare, but oh, and one interesting thing that doesn't even have to do with Atari. Atari didn't do this on purpose, of course. That'd be pretty weird. Sega Genesis controllers work on the Atari. Same connection. So if you really despise the Atari controller for some reason, you can just use your Sega Genesis controller if you have one. And even if you don't have a Sega Genesis, these are cheap too. It works just like the joystick, except it's analog controlled, and instead of the red button, you use the B button, but the other ones don't work. And the pause doesn't do anything because the original controller doesn't have a pause, so it doesn't magically make a start button. That'd be cool though, because sometimes you really need one for those games. As for games, there are tons of classics. Like, there are originals like Yar's Revenge, which I know a lot of people love this game, and I do too. Just fun game. And there are also a lot of arcade ports, like the classic Asteroids, Vanguard, Berserk, and there are lots of other games like Warlords, Space Invaders. There's so many classics on this game, this system, and and they're cheap too. I got all these games for $1 each, and some are rarer than others, might cost you a little bit more, but it won't be that big of a problem, I don't think. Definitely amazing system. The final product, they gave a 9 or 9.5 out of 10. It's amazing. The only thing I could really find wrong about it is just pretty much the controllers, really. Definitely recommend getting one of these. I mean, there's the collections, but it's a lot different than playing on the original system. I definitely recommend getting one. Get one today. I mean, it was only $25 for me, and you can get a brand new game for almost triple that price, so I definitely recommend getting an Atari 2600, whether it's 6-switcher, whatever. So This Sonic Guy 25 signing off, and hope you enjoyed.